Hi, I'm Kiara and welcome to my How to Freehand Knitwear and Crochet Clothing video. I'm a freehand crocheter and knitter, if that's a thing. I don't read patterns and I sometimes follow traditional methods. I'm going to give you some of my tips so you can make your own freehand knitwear and crochet clothing. Tip number 1, pick your yarn colors. Focusing on colors you use is so essential. Even if the garment is simple, the colors always speak loud. Colorful yarn can create a creative spark in you and guide you through your project. Some colors that you might not have envisioned together end up being quite nice, and you can always use the same color but in different shades. That's a simple way of knowing your piece will look nice once done. For this project, I'm using about 6 to 8 colors. Most of them are earthy tones with blends of organic cotton yarn, acrylic yarn, and recycled polyester yarn. Tip number 2, textures. Using yarn with different textures helps make the piece stand out and overall have a special feeling to it. I'm a 10-year vegan and only use vegan-friendly yarn fibers. So even though there are some different textured vegan-friendly yarn, I've only used a handful. Since simple is a route people like for their clothing, sometimes having 6 different yarn textures is too much and that's totally okay. But adding 1 to 2 can really make a difference. Tip number 3, inspiration. A lot of us may wonder, where can I source my inspiration? I use Pinterest to get better at my color combining skills. However, you can use whatever inspires you. The earth, the ocean, Paris Fashion Week, the list goes on. Since I make so many freehand projects, it is better for me to not focus on what other knitters and crocheters are making. Sometimes it can be limiting, or you might start to think you need to make what they are making. Essentially, being freehand is creating a piece from you, so add your own twist and have a little bit of fun. Tip number 4, your likes and dislikes. I'm a fan of making lightweight pieces. As you can tell by this dress I'm making, she's going to float like air. I enjoy making these pieces because they make me feel like I'm a creative mastermind, floating in the clouds, having the best time ever. I used to not like making trendy pieces, but I've learned to keep an open mind. I've learned my likes and my dislikes, and I make sure I don't pressure myself to do anything I don't like. For example, I don't like knitting with thin yarn all the time, and I don't like working on a project with yarn I don't like, even if that's all I have. Ultimately, do what makes you happy. Tip number 5, accept trial and error. For me, I started crocheting like a beginner, so really there was always going to be error. But I've learned to accept this because all I'm doing is growing in this creative field. I am not going to be perfect overnight, and I kind of enjoy it that way. So take it as it goes, take it day by day, and keep practicing. Another thing that I do is I almost crochet and knit every day. So when you're doing something every day, you get used to it. You find little kinks and twists here that you can start using and applying to your everyday projects, and it starts to become very, very easy. I know when I do need to follow a tutorial, I'm like super speedy with it, and I'm happy about the progress that I've made, and I don't compare myself to other people. So just accept your trial and error and keep going. You got this. Tip number 6, your supplies. So I do have a good amount of circular knitting sticks and my crochet hooks. And when I am making a freehand project, I am very open with using both my crochet hooks and my knitting sticks as I am for this dress, because I feel that it adds a little element of just like, I don't know the word, just like a different vibe, so that not every row is the same thing. So I do 2 rows of crocheting and then I'll do some knitting, and it just adds kind of like this fun, oh, what's gonna happen next element, and it makes it feel very unique and special. And definitely it helps me practice my knitting and it helps me practice my crocheting, and I feel like both of those elements are kind of aligned, and I'm happy about that. Tip number 7 is to commit. Now I know that when you're freehanding, you could be like, what is going to happen? This is too much uncertainty for me. But definitely if you commit, you can see it through and you can see what you are at least trying to make. Then if you feel like, oh, I wish I didn't do this or I wish I didn't do that, you can always restart again and apply those new notes. But guess what? There's nothing better than just committing. I've actually, my last couple projects that are on my Instagram, which was my robe and my blanket, I couldn't see the end. I didn't know what it was going to be like up until the point where I literally tried it on when it was complete. But I'm so happy I kept them, and that's all you got to do. Just push through and see it through, and wonderful things can happen. Tip number 8, be patient. Now, this can take a long time for you to finish a piece. Don't worry about how fast it takes me. It's because for months, as I said, I've been knitting and crocheting probably every day of the year. And so I'm really quick with it. So this dress probably took me, I think, a day and a half or really 2 days. But this could take someone easily a month or even longer. And so you have to be patient with your projects. And sometimes even I need to be patient. This dress was not like me knitting a sweater or me knitting a top. It did take me longer. These stitches were tedious at times for myself because I'm not used to doing so many stitches. But I said, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's push ourselves a little bit and let's be patient. So put on a little show, get some YouTube videos going. You know, I got some out myself, some vlogs, and crochet away or knit away, because you don't want to stop too soon on your project and then feel like, oh, I wish I kept going.